Alright guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the time I had a girlfriend and she had another foreign boyfriend at the same time. Stick around. Alright, so this story is quite a ways back. It was about a year after I got here. It was I think in 2017, maybe towards the end. I can't remember exactly, but it is quite the story. It's the only time that this has ever happened to me. It was a very short relationship, but I want to talk about how this could happen to you on either side of the coin, and I'll explain a little bit more in a second. I'm just hanging out at one of my favorite coffee shops, grabbing coffee on a Sunday morning before we head off to do the grocery shopping. Hey guys, did you know that if you're going to get a prenup in the Philippines, it must be done 60 days before you get married? And by the way, this video is brought to you by Veritas Consulting Group. Consider getting a prenup and contact Veritas Consulting Group at vcg.ph. Again, consider getting a prenup before you get married. Contact Veritas Consulting Group at vcg.ph. And so, let me give you a little backstory first here. So I was living in a condo here in Cebu City, and I think I was at Ayala Mall, and I saw this attractive girl. I was at the coffee shop, and I noticed she looked at me, and I looked at her, and after, I don't know, a few minutes, 10 minutes or so of glancing looks at each other, I decided to go introduce myself and get her phone number or Facebook. I can't remember. It's been a while now. And so I did, and we started to date. We actually moved in for a very, very short time. I think maybe a month, maybe not even that long. So, a little backstory. She was going to school, I think, to become hospitality industry. I think it was like a year course or something. And she also was living in a boarding house. Now, at the point where I said, well, you know, you could stay with me, again, looking back, I rushed too quickly, but I said, yeah, you can stay with me, and at the time I didn't really think anything, but she said, well, you know, I still want to keep my boarding house. I questioned, I was like, well, why would you want to keep your boarding house? But she wanted to keep her boarding house, so she did. She was going to school, and I think she just graduated when I had met her. I think she had just finished up. So anyway, one day I randomly had one of her friends message me and said, by the way, she has a boyfriend, a foreigner boyfriend. And I said, yeah, it's me. And she said, no, another one. And I said, what? And I think she dropped the name, if I remember. Again, I'm recalling from memory from like 6 years ago. So, and then she just like blocked me or deleted her Facebook account or whoever it was, because I didn't know who it was after that. Anyway, I looked up the name, and I think it was one day, I sent a message. And you know, on Facebook, if you send a message to somebody and you aren't friends, it goes into the messages held, and so you may not see that message for a long time if you're not checking for it. And so anyway, I think a week or 2 weeks went by, and I think he had checked his message finally. Anyway, I'm sitting at the dinner table in my condo across from her. She's on her phone, I'm on my phone. We were, I think, doing something, I can't remember, checking email or something. And all of a sudden I get the message from this guy, and it says, can I help you? Because I think I said, hey, how are you? My name's Gio. I'm in the Philippines. I wasn't a vlogger or nothing at that time. Anyway, he said, fine, how can I help you? And I said, do you know this girl? And I took a picture of her sitting across from me at the dinner table. I'm not going to drop any name. And he goes, yeah, that's my girlfriend. I said, that's my girlfriend. And he goes, where are you at? And I said, I'm in Cebu City living in the Philippines. I said, where are you? And he goes, I'm in England. And then he proceeds to tell me that he met her like a year ago. He came to the Philippines, met her, and he's been paying for her boarding house and paying for her school the entire time and sending her some money to live on. I can't remember, maybe 10,000 pesos a month, covered her boarding house, school, and spending money. Not a great deal, but still, a couple $100 a month. And he explains how he had met her, and they were in a relationship, and he's paying for all this stuff. And I said, well, she's, she lives with me, and she graduated. She finished school already. And he said, what? I just sent a payment. And I said, do me a favor, text message her now. And so he messages her. And so she's messaging him while she's sitting across the table from me having dinner. And I think he says something like, hey, where are you? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm at the boarding house. Because he sent me a screenshot in of the conversation. And I took a picture of her and I said, she's right here. Anyway, so I'm sending screenshots and I said, do you know a guy named this? And she goes, no, why? And I said, is there something you want to tell me? She's like, no. And I proceed to show her the screenshots, and then he texts her at the same time, and basically she was busted. Busted from both sides. Me and her foreign boyfriend in England, too. Now, looking back at it, I would say I think she cared a great deal for me, and I think that she had gotten used to the money and didn't want to give it up. And that's basically it. But I don't want to speculate on it. But back to the story, I basically said, I want you out of here. I wasn't kicking her out on the street. I called the taxi. I got her taxi money. And then back to her boarding house. I knew she had a boarding house, so I knew she was okay. But, she was lying to two people. Even though she wasn't physically with this guy while I was with her, it's not like she was going back and forth. She hadn't seen him in like a year. And but I told her, I said, you got to leave. And she actually refused. She's like, please, no, just begging me, please, I don't want to go. She's throwing herself down on the floor, crying, and that's why I think maybe she really was legit. Maybe she did care about me, but she didn't want to give up that money. She got used to it. But the sad thing is she could have said something, and I probably would have made sure she was okay. She had never indicated that she needed any money. I guess I was young, and I was still young to the country, naive to the ways of the Philippines, and I didn't know where she was getting her money. I never really questioned it, but she seemed to always have some money for spending. So anyway, this is where living in a condo comes in handy, because I had to threaten to call security to get her to leave. And finally, I got her downstairs with her luggage, her one piece of luggage. She hadn't stayed with me very long, a few weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I can't remember exactly. And she left, and I don't know what happened to her because I blocked her on Facebook, and I don't know what happened with the other guy because he ended up blocking me actually after a week or so after we talked. Maybe he got back with her. I don't know. Maybe he forgave. Who knows? I don't really care. But the point is this could happen to you on either side of the coin. Now, this can happen for a lot of guys will come out here and they start dating a Filipina, and I've known lots. I'm not talking a few. I've known a lot of Filipinas who've had a foreign boyfriend who maybe they haven't been with in 6 months or a year, and in between the time of their visits, they are dating other guys. Now, I'm not saying that there's not trustworthy, faithful Filipinas out there who will have a long-distance relationship, because there's plenty. That's probably the majority. But there still are some that will try to double dip, have a better life while they're gone and still be collecting maybe some money that you're sending. And then when you come back, they find a way to free themselves. Oh, I'm going to go visit family or whatever. I don't know how they do it. But you could find yourself on either side of the coin. You could be like me, or you could be like this guy who was sending money and Hadn't seen her in a year, but still thinks they're in a relationship until he can get back over. So this could happen either way. And I'm here to tell you it happens more often than you would think. It isn't totally uncommon. So it's something to be aware of. I know like girls in Vietnam and Thailand, this is how they differ. In Vietnam and Thailand, they aren't even interested in you unless you are physically in the country. The majority, there may be a few, but if you tried joining a dating site in Thailand or Vietnam and chatting with them, and when you say, hey, I'm not even here, I may not be in Thailand for another 6 months, they have no interest. They don't want to play those games. They want you physically there. They don't want a holiday boyfriend. Or maybe some do, the money ones. But in the Philippines, they will entertain that. They'll entertain the long distance relationships before you've even come out to the country. I've heard of guys and Western guys and Filipinas who've been in relationships without ever even meeting in person for several years, 4 or 5 years even one time I've heard, which just seems totally insane to me, but it happens. Be careful is all I'm telling you. I'm not saying don't trust your girl and girls don't trust your guy, because guess what, this can happen with guys too. I know Filipinas who are in relationships with guys and maybe their guy comes out to visit the Filipina and he says, okay, I've only got 2 weeks, and he's in Cebu City with his girl, but instead of going home, guess where he's at? He's over in Davao for another week, or in Manila, and he's juggling multiple girls. So guess what? It happens both ways. There's no innocent party totally in any of this. It can happen both ways. But again, the moral of the story, be careful. Don't put all your trust into somebody immediately. Both ways, Filipinas with foreigners and foreigners with Filipinas. It takes a while to get this trust and everything, and to make sure you're really with somebody faithful. So guys, don't forget to check out my website. It is loaded with information. You can book flights, hotels, sign up for travel, medical insurance, all that stuff, and sign up for a free monthly newsletter where I send out different places you should visit in the Philippines, things I highly recommend for moving or traveling out here, Geo Travel Essentials. And if you want to help support my channel, guys, please consider heading over to patreon.com/Geo in the Philippines, or YouTube membership by clicking the join button under any of my YouTube videos, and you can help support me for a very small amount, and you get a lot of benefits that go with that. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
That's it, baby. I know you're on a roll. Sweet honey, let's take it real soon.